This guy tried to buy 3 Bitcoin for $30 and gave up because the transaction didn't go through. Yeah, $30. Like, guess I'll just not become accidentally rich today. And if you think that's the worst part of the story, oh no, that was just the tutorial level pain. Meet Brandon Keller, 32 years old, from Columbus, Ohio. Brandon is the kind of guy who discovers trends early and then somehow fumbles them like a Wi-Fi signal in a basement. Back in the early 2010s, Brandon stumbled across Bitcoin. It was weird. It was nerdy. It sounded mildly illegal. So obviously he loved it. He didn't want to get rich overnight. No. Brandon had a plan, a very specific plan. His goal? To acquire exactly 21 Bitcoin at $300 each. Why 21? Because he did the math and realized 21 BTC would be 1/1,000,000th of the total supply. He didn't want a lot. He wanted symbolism. That is the most early Bitcoin investor thing I've ever heard. So he tries to buy 3 BTC for $30 on MTGOX. Yes, that MTGOX. And the transaction doesn't go through. And instead of trying again, he just abandons it. Like Bitcoin was a Netflix show he didn't vibe with after episode 1. But eventually, he manages to acquire 3 BTC. And at that moment, he's feeling pretty smart, pretty ahead of the curve. He's got digital gold. He's thinking long-term. He's thinking future yacht. And then his attention span kicks in. Because right after getting his 3 Bitcoin, Brandon discovers weed stocks. Yes, cannabis companies. The green rush. This will totally be the next big thing phase. And suddenly Bitcoin isn't exciting anymore. It's too slow, too boring, too digital. Weed stocks? That's tangible. That's revolutionary. That's going to 10x next quarter, bro. So he shifts his focus, moves his investing money around, chases a hype. And like many retail investors before him, he promptly loses all of it. Every single dollar. And because life is a twisted sense of humor, he loses his job around the same time. So now it's not just, oops, bad investment. It's rent is due. And guess what he still has? Those 3 little Bitcoin. Sitting there, in a bear market. Looking less like digital gold, and more like grocery money. He tells himself it's temporary. He tells himself Bitcoin will come back. Until rent doesn't care about market cycles. So he sells, in a bear market, 3 Bitcoins. Gone. For survival. And honestly, that part's not even the tragic part. That's just life being life. Fast forward, Bitcoin runs. Of course it does. Because Bitcoin has impeccable timing when it comes to humiliating former holders. Now Brandon is watching the price climb like an ex that suddenly found themselves after the breakup. And he makes a vow. He sets a new goal. Acquire 1 Bitcoin during the post-$20K cool down phase. This time he's disciplined. He accumulates. Slowly. Carefully. He gets to 0.80 BTC. Not bad. Not bad at all. He's almost there. However, he decides that simply holding is enough. No. He's smarter now. He's experienced. He's going to swing trade, increase his holdings, optimize his stack, outsmart volatility. You can already hear the ominous music. That 0.80 BTC soon becomes 0.50 BTC. Gone. Evaporated in the name of strategy. And then coronavirus hits. The market dumps like it just saw a ghost. Brandon panics. Sells the 0.50 BTC on the crash. Cut losses, he tells himself. Buy back lower. He waits and waits. And the market rebounds faster than anyone expected. And he buys back in late with less money. With fewer sats. With more regret. Beat. That's the moment it sinks in. It wasn't bad luck. It wasn't timing. It was him trying to outplay a system that eats ego for breakfast. Now let's talk about the emotional toll. Because hindsight, Hindsight has 20/20 vision, but your portfolio doesn't. Imagine watching Bitcoin cross price milestones knowing you once held multiple whole coins. That's not just a financial memory. That's a psychological goes. Mini scene 1. He's at a barbecue. Someone brings up crypt. Oh, man, I wish I bought early. Brandon just nods, takes a sip, says, yeah, same. Mini scene 2. Bitcoin hits another all-time high. He does the math. He always does the math. 3 BTC at today's price equals. Nope, we're not saying it out, Lou. We're protecting his mental health. Mini scene 3. He finally stops trading, stops trying to be clever, stops refreshing charts like they're oxygen. And he learns the most boring, most painful lesson in crypto. DCA and HODL. It's not sexy. It's not thrilling. It doesn't give you the dopamine hit of, I just made a genius move. But also doesn't turn 0.80 into 0.50. And it doesn't turn panic into regret. Here's the thing. Brandon wasn't stupid. He wasn't reckless. He was Huma. And he chased trends. He panicked under pressure. He tried to optimize instead of simplify. Why? And in investing, fear and greed are basically the same thing wearing different hats. When prices go up, greed says, you can do better. When prices go down, fear says, you can't afford worse. Both whisper. Both sound logical. Both can wreck you. Sometimes the smartest move feels boring. Sometimes the best strategy is doing nothing. And sometimes the real loss isn't money. It's the lesson you had to pay for twice. Brandon finally learned. DCA, HODL, stop trying to outsmart the roller coaster. Because if you try to time every dip, you might just time yourself out of game. So what do you think? Was Brandon just unlucky? Or did he sabotage himself trying to be too smart? And be honest, what's the dumbest investment decision you've ever made? Because if we're all going to learn the hard way, we might as well laugh about it together.